Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Venus Williams puts Coco Gauff on spot as tennis world debates over big WTA problem. Aging athletes aren't supposed to get better. They're supposed to slow down, fade out, and eventually step aside. But Venus Williams? She's doing none of that. At 45 years old, she's serving precision that would make her 2000 self-nod in approval. This isn't just nostalgia, it's active dominance. With 7 Grand Slam singles titles, a former WTA #1 ranking for 11 weeks, and 4 Olympic golds, she could have retired a decade ago with a legacy few could touch. But here she is in 2025, post-surgery, after a 16-month break, and still rewriting the expectations of aging athletes. So what's making everyone suddenly compare her to Coco Gauff? Well, it started with one spicy post on X. A fan wrote, "I love my girl Coco, but why does Venus Williams have a better serve than you in the year 2025? Loudly crying face, loudly crying face. That line hit a nerve, and Tennis X exploded. But it wasn't just a troll moment. Venus backed it up big time. At the City Open on July 23rd, she returned and fired 9 aces, multiple bombs at 110 plus mph, and clinch match point with a 112 miles per hour rocket. It wasn't a fluke. She won 71% of her first serve points, a stat that screams elite control and power. And fans, they couldn't believe it. A 45-year-old out-serving one of the WTA's brightest young stars. Which raises the question, what exactly is going on with Coco's serve? Because Coco isn't new to power. In fact, now 21 but at just 18, she hit 128 miles per hour at the 2022 U.S. Open, one of the fastest serves ever recorded in women's tennis. That was supposed to be the beginning of a serve-dominated era for her. But in 2025, the numbers are telling a different story. Her average first serve speed across slams has dropped to 168 kilometers per hour, 104 mph, in Roland Garros. For a top-tier player known for explosiveness, that's a steep fall-off. Worse, it's not just about speed. It's about where the ball lands. And when it doesn't land, the consequences are even harder to watch. At the 2025 French Open, Coco committed 6 double faults in one match and was broken 5 times, despite having overall solid play. In her Rome semifinal against Zheng Qinwen, Coco landed just 56.9% of her first serves, a below-average mark for a top player, and also had an elevated double fault rate of 11.1%. Then came Wimbledon, where she dropped 9 double faults, a massive factor in her surprise exit at the hands of Diana Yastremska. These aren't isolated blips. They're turning into a pattern. The power is there, but the consistency, not so much. Which brings us to a bigger problem. Is this just Coco? Or is the WTA dropping the ball? Because Venus Williams is doing more than just winning. She's exposing a system. While many young players are pushing for speed and raw power, Venus is out here mastering timing, consistency, and big point composure. And somehow, in 2025, she's still serving at speeds that rival her prime, while younger players struggle to land first serves. That's exactly why fans are now putting Coco Gauff under the spotlight as the tennis world confronts a much bigger WTA problem. Coco Gauff's serve under fire after fans compare her to Venus Williams. She still has a better serve than 99% of the WTA players right now, and I wish I was joking. One fan quipped on X. But they weren't wrong. Back in 2007, Venus Williams clocked a 207.6 kilometers per hour bomb at the U.S. Open, still tied with Felicia Parks for the fastest serve in women's tennis history. And in 2025, at age 45, she's still bringing the heat. At the City Open, Venus unloaded multiple serves over 110 miles per hour and sealed the match with a 112 miles per hour ace. For context, the average first serve speed among top WTA players hovers around 160 kilometers per hour. Even elite names like Elena Rybakina or Ash Barty average about 171 kilometers per hour. Venus, she's still blowing past that, and she's doing it post-surgery, post-hiatus, and deep into her 40s. Hot take, but likely accurate thinking face. Another fan chimed in, and at this point, It's hard to argue. One fan joked, "I've always wondered why she didn't hit up one of them Williams to help her with her serve." Another added, "I'm praying she's in a serve boot camp until the U.S. Open," loudly crying Festa. But the truth is, Coco Gauff and Venus Williams already have a bond that goes way deeper than a quick coaching session. At the 2025 French Open, the two shared the broadcast booth with Sloane Stephens, and the moment was gold. Venus looked at Coco and said, "I'm so glad you're here. Because of you, so many young girls are picking up rackets." Coco, visibly emotional, replied, "You and Serena are the reason I started this sport. I never thought I'd sit here with you." That wasn't just small talk. It was a generational exchange. And it doesn't stop there. Off court, their friendship is just as real. Coco once called herself ecstatic about how close they've become. Venus even drops comments on her Instagram and once joined her for doubles at the French Open. That's rare, considering Venus almost always played doubles only with Serena. Coco called it an honor. As for coaching, Venus has kept it honest, saying she couldn't really mentor someone she might have to face across the net. Still, she's full of praise for Coco's passion and drive. One fan posted, "I mean, Venus' serve is better than most in 2025, while another clapped back, "Because literally everyone on tour has a better serve than her, lol." Well, not quite. On July 23rd, Venus Williams made a comeback at the 2025 City Open in Washington, D.C., returning after 16 months off due to injury. Facing Peyton Stearns, Venus fired 9 aces, routinely hit serves above 110 miles per hour, and sealed the win with a 112 miles per hour bomb on match point, the kind of high-pressure delivery that most of today's WTA stars can only wish for. The summer sun blazed down on the hard courts of Washington, D.C., but the real heat wasn't just coming from the weather. Venus Williams, the living legend who redefined power and grace on the women's tennis tour, had just wrapped up a nail-biting 3-set victory. But instead of basking in the glow of her latest triumph, the 45-year-old icon turned the spotlight elsewhere, toward a problem simmering under the surface of the WTA Tour. And she called out one of its brightest young stars, Coco Gauff. The moment. During a post-match press conference at the City Open, Venus was asked about the state of women's tennis. The question was broad, perhaps even routine, but her response caught the tennis world off guard. "There's no doubt the WTA has talent. Coco, Iga, Arina, Lena, they're all amazing. But talent isn't the issue," Venus said, pausing with the gravity of someone who had been there since wooden rackets and sponsorship droughts. "The problem is consistency. The fans want rivalries, legends. We need someone to stand tall for more than one summer. And Coco has everything it takes, but she has to decide if she wants to carry that torch." Gasps. Stunned silence. Reporters scribbled. Phones lit up. Hashtags bloomed. Was Venus Williams calling out Coco Gauff? Or was she doing something even more important? Challenging her to greatness? The queen and the protege. Coco Gauff had idolized Venus since she could first swing a racket. She made global headlines at age 15 when she defeated her hero at Wimbledon in 2019. That match was a metaphor, a passing of the torch from one era to the next. But in the years since, the torch had flickered. Not for lack of brilliance. Coco had won the U.S. Open, reached number 2 in the world rankings, and filled arenas from Paris to Tokyo. Yet something was missing: dominance. She'd win a slam, then exit early in the next. She'd beat the world number 1, then lose to a qualifier. The talent was there. The magic was undeniable. The reign, however, was inconsistent. Venus, never one to sugarcoat truth, wasn't being cruel. She was doing what great champions do, telling the next queen it's time to take the throne. And hold it. A stir across the court. The tennis world was divided. Some praised Venus's candor. "She's right," said Martina Navratilova on Tennis Channel. "We haven't had a proper rivalry since Serena versus Justine. The women's game needs a heroine." Others were more critical. "It's not fair to expect a 21-year-old to fix structural issues," tweeted a WTA analyst. "Coco already carries so much." Social media exploded with memes, think pieces, debates. Hashtag Torch Talk trended on X, formerly Twitter. Fans imagine Serena and Venus passing flaming rackets to Gauff like Greek goddesses in a relay of glory. But the one person who hadn't spoken yet was Coco Gauff. The Gauff response. 3 days later, Coco Gauff stepped onto the court in Montreal, her face composed but eyes sharper than ever. She won in straight sets, barely dropping a game. But the real battle came in the press room afterward. A reporter read Venus's quote aloud. Gauff didn't flinch. "I love Venus. She's my hero. And I know exactly what she means," Coco said. "When I was 15, I just wanted to make it. Now I want to own it. The tour, the rivalries, the pressure. If that's the challenge, I accept." Boom. No denial. No excuses. Just fuel to the fire. The WTA problem, greatness interrupted. Venus's comments tapped into a bigger concern within tennis circles. The ATP has its big three mythology, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, while the WTA, post-Serena, feels like a carousel of champions. Since 2017, more than 15 women have won their first-ever Grand Slam titles. Each one carried hope. Few repeated. Swiatek looked destined to dominate, but clay seems to be her kingdom alone. Sabalenka is explosive yet erratic. Rybakina, calculated but often absent. And then there's Gauff, America's sweetheart, brilliant in flashes, but searching for permanence. Is it parity or instability? A depth of field or a lack of stars? As one ESPN commentator put it, the WTA has depth, but not gravity. The mentor's mission. Backstage, it became clear that Venus's remark wasn't offhand. Sources close to the Williams camp revealed she had reached out to Coco privately after the interview. "She didn't mean it as a drag," said one insider. "She sees herself in Coco. She wants her to be more than a moment. She wants her to be a movement." Venus even offered to practice with Coco during the off-season. "There are levels to this," she reportedly told her. "I can help you unlock that next one." It wasn't a call-out. It was a call-up. The Gauff effect. Whether intentional or not, Venus had sparked something. In Montreal, Coco stormed through the draw and lifted the trophy with tears in her eyes. "I've been floating for a while," she said. "Now I'm planting my flag." Her next stops were Cincinnati, the U.S. Open Series, and Mexico. Each tournament brought packed crowds and headline clashes. In pressers, she was more assertive. In rallies, more aggressive. The girl who once carried the hopes of American tennis was now carrying its standard. "I feel like I have permission to dominate," she joked. Thanks to Venus. The bigger picture. Venus Williams' moment of honesty peeled back a curtain not just on Coco Gauff, but on the entire state of the WTA. It begged bigger questions. Can women's tennis rebuild a hierarchy of dominance? Can rising stars withstand the spotlight and structure their reigns? And can the torch be passed, not just with admiration, but with accountability? Gauff, to her credit, didn't shrink from the challenge. She rose to it, and in doing so, she may have lit the fire that will define this next era. Final rally, more than a game. The tennis world is a revolving stage. Players come and go. Styles evolve. But greatness, true greatness, demands roots. Venus Williams planted hers decades ago, against odds and doubters and double faults. Now she's looking to Coco to grow the next forest. Not just of champions, but of legends. Epilogue. 2026 Australian Open. Under the lights in Melbourne, Coco Gauff faced IGA Swiatek in what many called the best women's final in years. 3 hours. Tiebreaks. Thunderous rallies. Gauff won, collapsing to her knees, eyes brimming. Venus was in the stands, clapping slowly, nodding. In that moment, the world understood. The torch had not only been passed, it had been earned.